Welcome to The Explainer. So last night's Monday Night Raw from Quebec City, whoa, it was an absolutely wild ride. I mean, it felt like total anarchy, right? You had canceled matches, interference left and right, just pure mayhem. But here's the thing. What if all that chaos wasn't just, chaos for chaos' sake? What if it was all building to one single, crystal clear, and incredibly high-stakes moment?
And that really brings us to the central question of the night, doesn't it? What actually happens when a show just completely flies off the rails like that? Well, last night's Raw gave us a pretty fascinating answer. It turns out, sometimes all that chaos, it's really just the warm-up act, the prelude to a moment of absolute clarity. So, let's break down exactly how they pulled it off.
Okay, first up, a rivalry reignites. And it all starts with CM Punk setting the tone for the entire night. And it's kind of ironic, right? A night that ended up being just complete chaos actually started with this incredible laser-like focus. And it was all thanks to one guy who knew exactly what he wanted.
This was the message loud and clear from CM Punk himself. The World Heavyweight Championship is my destiny. And Seth Rollins, you're just keeping it warm for me. I mean, talk about a shot across the bow. He kicked off the show with this absolutely fiery promo, putting the World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins on blast. The takeaway here was so simple. This rivalry, it's not even close to being over, and Punk's eyes are locked on that championship.
Next, we get to a night of disruptions, where the chaos really starts to spread across the card. So that initial focus we just talked about, that didn't last very long at all. What started as one really intense focused rivalry just spiraled. It turned into a whole night defined by interruptions and total unpredictability. It felt like the whole show was getting derailed.
And man, did that chaos spread fast. First, you have a huge women's title match between Naomi and Io Sky, just canceled. Poof, gone. Naomi wasn't medically cleared. Then you get Quebec's own Sami Zayn in front of his hometown crowd, and his match gets ruined by a faction interfering, ending in a DQ. And just to top it all off, the world champion himself, Seth Rollins, decides to get involved and completely disrupt the main event. See, this wasn't just random stuff happening. It was a pattern. You could feel the whole structure of the show just collapsing.
And if you really want to see the story of the night, just look at the results. When you lay it all out like this, it's so clear. Two of the biggest, most anticipated matches of the evening ended in disqualification. Think about that. This stopped being about wins and losses. This was just hard evidence that the show's foundation had cracked. Conflicts weren't being settled in the ring anymore. They were just spilling out everywhere.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. Section 3. Shifting championship tides. Because we have a real tale of two champions here. All this volatility and chaos? It created this perfect little micro story within the women's division, with two champs having completely different nights. And it really mirrored the whole unpredictable feel of the show.
And wow, the contrast couldn't be more stark. On one hand, you've got Becky Lynch. She retains her title, and she just looks unshakable, completely in control. But then on the other side, you've got the women's world champion, Io Sky. First, her title defense gets canceled, and then, as if that wasn't bad enough, she ends up suffering a shocking pinfall loss later in the night. It was a total night and day difference. Two champions, two completely opposite fortunes.
And it's how Becky won that's so important here. She didn't just win, she won decisively with her signature submission, the disarmer. Now you might be thinking, okay, so what? Well, here's why it matters. On a night that was all about unresolved chaos and messy finishes, her clean, clear-cut victory was one of the only definitive statements of the entire show. She was like an island of stability in this absolute sea of anarchy.
Okay, this brings us to our final section. The Paris Showdown is set. This is where all the chaos funnels directly into the main event. This is it. This is the climax of the whole night. Every separate thread, the interference, the rivalries, all that chaos we've been talking about, it's all about to collide. It's all getting funneled straight into the main event, and it's going to force some kind of resolution.
And here's the play-by-play of how it all finally imploded. Step 1. The main event kicks off. It's CM Punk and LA Knight taking on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Step 2. Predictably, it just dissolves into an all-out brawl. The match ends in, you guessed it,
another disqualification. But before anyone can even catch their breath, we get to step 3. Seth Rollins storms the ring and attacks Punk. And that was the final straw. The chaos was so absolute that Raw's general manager, Adam Pearce, had no other choice. He had to come out and restore some kind of order.
And this right here is where we finally get our moment of clarity. This is the payoff, a 4-way war for Paris. See, Adam Pearce's solution wasn't to hand out punishments or fines. No, his solution was genius. He decided to take all the chaotic people and problems that ruined his show and throw them all into one massive, high-stakes, can't-miss championship match.
And the result of all that chaos is this. At the upcoming Clash in Paris event, Seth Rollins has to defend his World Heavyweight title in a fatal 4-way match. And look at his opponents. His #1 rival, CM Punk, the powerhouse, LA Knight, and the relentless never-say-die Jey Uso. Think about it. Every single person who played a part in the night's chaos is now a direct threat to his championship reign.
So, this is the question that hangs over everything now. With enemies in literally every corner of that ring, can Seth Rollins possibly survive the carnage that's coming in Paris? The chaos of just one night in Quebec City has created an absolute pressure cooker for the champion. He's got 3 hungry, determined challengers and absolutely nowhere to hide. So the question we're left with isn't just if Seth Rollins will retain his title, it's if he can even survive the match at all.